Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge. Let's begin by simply sitting upright. The body is relaxed, the tissues soft, released. Let your body become nice and still. Gradually letting go of all fidgeting, all moving. Let your breath be comfortable, let it gradually melt down into the belly. Following the pull of gravity. Breathe in such a way that it feels nice for you personally. Gently smiling a bit with your lips, your eyes. Receive yourself with kindness, with compassion. Allowing whatever experience you are making at this moment to be there. Allowing it to be just the way it is. You're not here to change anything. You're not here to fix a broken self. You're here to get to know the truth. Get to know who you are. Get to know what life is right now, in this moment. And let your consciousness equally spread out into your whole body, saturating the body with consciousness. As you breathe in, as you're breathing out, releasing, softening. Let all the pockets of tension in your body gradually melt. I'd like you to really notice how nice it is to just release tension in your body, unnecessary tension. And even just a little bit, if it's just 0.1% better, that's the right direction. There's something nice. You know, that feeling that you have when you make a sigh of relief. That feeling, let it flow through the body as you breathe out. Just acting in your body as if all your problems, all the difficulties, all disease, whatever you're struggling with, has already come to an end. You're now finally free to relax, to enjoy life, to let go. All the problems are behind you. And teaching the nervous system what it's like to arrive, to be content, to be at ease, to be done. Each time you breathe out, finding that feeling of relief. Or finally having arrived. The frantic searching for the next moment coming to an end. Just giving your body and your mind time to settle down by themselves, naturally. You will find that the more comfortable you become in your own skin, in your own body, the more released you are, the more easy it is to let go of the future, let go of the past. Simply appreciate the aliveness, the natural okayness of the present moment. Right now, right here. There's really nothing to worry about, nothing to complain about. The complaining only begins if you think of a future that you need to reach that is different from this moment. if you compare this moment to a possibly better moment. In presence, however, you are simply invited to appreciate life as it is, making peace with the way it is. There is sound, there's feeling, there are thoughts, and that's okay. There's no need to get rid of anything. And there is no need to run behind those things either. Sometimes there's comfort, sometimes there's discomfort. And both are okay. Both are normal. There's no need to run behind comfort or fight with discomfort. These things come and they go by themselves. From time to time, ask yourself, where is my attention right now? What am I doing right now? Perhaps you're listening to a sound. Maybe you're aware of a feeling. Or you're listening to your mind as it complains. Notice how your attention is naturally pulled to different experiences, second after second. It goes from the complaining mind into a sensation of the knees, into the sound of hammering outside, then to the sound of the fountain, and feeling the shoulder, then back to complaining, continuously flowing between the senses. Simply observe that. That's presence. Train ourselves to be aware of our experience in this moment without any preference. Whatever presents itself to your awareness, be with that. Just knowing it. Not following it, not fighting it. Observing what things are like. If you find yourself resisting or complaining, observe what it's like. What is complaining like? It is like this. Just watching it with curiosity. Give your mind complete freedom to complain. If you want to complain, dear mind, be my guest. Knock yourself out. I'll just sit here and watch. If the mind is restless, jumping around, let it jump. See what it's like. Restlessness is like this. If you're tired, observe what it's like to be tired. Tiredness is like this. Hearing is like this. Feeling is like this. Thinking is like this. Maybe something in you is trying to focus. Trying is like this. Encountering what you dislike is like this. Being separated from what you like is like this. Continuously stepping back from doing into knowing, observing, witnessing. And in your own time, if you like, you can slowly return. You can open your eyes, gently stretch a little bit. Or if you like, you can simply remain in meditation. Just continue observing yourself. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. Let's have a look at, again, one of the basic qualities that are required in meditation practice. Something that we should strive to develop if we want to become a bit more centered, a bit more relaxed, a bit more at ease, a bit more happy. Is non-reactivity. And also remaining without preference in that. So don't get me wrong, this is not the main thing about meditation practice, but it is nonetheless a very essential part of cultivating yourself. It's the skill of taking a step back, becoming an observer to what is going on rather than being involved. You can think of your mind as having two facets, two parts. One is the doer, the active part that is governed by intention, trying, wanting, not wanting. It's always active, it's pursuing something. And there's the other part of the mind, which is the knowing part, which is simply consciousness, observing, knowing, witnessing, that part of yourself, being. So you can say, you can divide the person into these two parts. There's a doing and there's a being. And both need to coexist harmoniously. It's not that, oh, the being is good and the doing is bad. So a lot of people that are on spiritual paths, they often assume that. They think, well, the only true thing is the being, and that's just what you need to rest in. Just be. There's nothing to do. You drop all the spiritual gymnastics and simply rest in your essence, in your being. All right? While that is true on some level, it is certainly not true for most people. For most people, it's very important to align your doing, your action, with the being, to harmonize both, to have them coexist peacefully. 50% doing, 50% being. In the same way, you can see that part of your life is split into daytime activities, and part of it is split into nighttime activities. Now, if you were to prefer one over the other, you'd end up in trouble. You'd say, I only need to stay awake. Sleep is bad. Rest is bad. Activity is good. That's a mistake. Why is it a mistake? Well, if you were to follow that ideology, and if you would try to make it practical, you'd end up in trouble. You'd suffer as a result. Just try not sleeping. Always being active. Well, some people are wired like this. They think rest is bad. Maybe they've been traumatized at some point in their childhood, or, like they've grown up in a society where performance and success is everything. And then rest is equal to being lazy. So if you ask someone, like, what are you doing? The person might answer, well, nothing, and then feel guilty about having said that. Nothing much at the moment. But I have some projects coming up, and you immediately have to also explain, no, you're not a lazy person. You're not just always doing nothing. You also are very busy, and it's kind of like a virtue for a lot of people just to say always how busy they are, how much they have to do. You're not just uselessly hanging around. I have a friend who's very likely to listen to this. Actually, we talked about this not too long ago, and he said that, for example, if he's just chilling out on the sofa and watching YouTube videos, like random stuff on YouTube, cute kitten videos or something like that, and he's just killing time, and then a friend calls or writes him a text, hey man, what you're doing? Then he is very tempted to write back that he is very busy at the moment, like maybe planning for some important work commitments, or scheduling, filing taxes, all that kind of stuff. That's the nice answer to give, right? Yeah, like I'm busy, I'm doing things, but answering truthfully, it's like I'm killing time watching silly YouTube videos. That's not a really popular answer to give, I guess, for most of us, isn't it? Doesn't feel like, you're being in any way useful while you're doing that, neither to yourself or others. But we kind of feel that, we know that, so we like to prefer busyness and effectivity and, getting somewhere. And while that is good, that is a necessary part of life, it's not everything. Rest should be there as well. For a lot of people, they don't know what rest actually means. So you might, again, ask your friend, what are you doing? And your friend honestly says, well, nothing. Ask your friend then, well, if I were to look at you right now while you're doing nothing, what would I see? Well, perhaps I'm lying down on the sofa and I'm reading a book. Well, that's not doing nothing. You're busy reading a book. You're doing something. And even to the point where you're sitting on a park bench and you think like you're doing nothing, actually what you're doing is thinking about all kinds of things. You go through conversations that you've had, through, all kinds of things in your head. You're still active. That's the doing part of your mind. You're still pursuing something. Even when you're sitting cross-legged, your eyes closed, your body still, doing your meditation, you may now think, really, now I'm doing nothing. When actually you're trying to focus on your breath. Maybe you're not thinking much, but you're trying something. Have you noticed that during your meditation practice? You're trying something? It's very, very common for people to sit down, cross their legs, close their eyes, and then it's like half an hour of trying something. So it's not just easily possible to give up doing. You can't just drop it. We are so immersed in it that the best option would be to make your doing useful first. And so what is useful doing? Useful doing is any kind of doing that is leading towards liberation from suffering, that is leading towards release, that is leading towards proper self-knowledge. Anything that really gets you out of trouble. And we do need to do things. You need to schedule your day, for example, and make room for meditation. You need to have some space every day where you are working on doing nothing. Because you can't just do nothing. As I said, that we're so immersed in the doing, we're so familiar with it, doing nothing, just switching over into complete doing nothing equals proper deep meditation. There's no more intention. It's the cessation of intent in deep meditation. You go in, and supposedly, while you're in the meditation practice, you are stripped from intention. So you don't decide when to stop your session. If you're still having intention, it's like, okay, now I'm going in, oh, that was nice, I'm going out. If you still have self-talk, self-evaluation, and so on and so forth, that is not deep meditation. In deep meditation, all those mental activities have ceased. There's not even any more sense experience. So you're not experiencing sound, sight, smell, touch, taste, or thought at all. It's just a naked mind without content. So how do we approach that? And why to approach that? First of all, why to approach that? Because it's easeful. It's the end of stress. It's happy. It's where every part of your being can recharge. Hence, you go to sleep every night and you enter deep sleep in which there is a relative cessation of activity. And it's restful. It's good. So you can function throughout the day. One conditions the other. Your resting phase conditions the waking phase. If you have no resting phase, your waking phase is messed up. If you have no waking phase, your resting phase is messed up. They condition one another. They are both equally important. The way I like to compare it is like a boat. You're in a boat, you're on the ocean, and most of us are kind of rowing around aimlessly. Not really knowing where to go. We're pursuing little shiny things in the distance. And as we're pursuing them, we take a direction, we start a row towards it. A nice ice cream or whatever, you go towards it. And as soon as your intention changes and shifts, you change your direction. You go somewhere else. And for most of us, our mind is incredibly split up. The doing mind is split up. There's plenty of motivations, plenty of intentions. That's why we're so inefficient with achieving things. People who are very good at achieving stuff, they're very single-minded. Their intentions are very single-minded. They're like biting their teeth, they're sinking their teeth into something, and they don't let go until they get it. They don't stop rowing into one direction until they have actually arrived. That's a hallmark of success in any kind of field, whether it's spiritual practice or just worldly activities, business success or something like this. It's single-mindedness. you're able to bundle your energy into one direction. Like all parts of yourself are working in harmony towards one goal. It's very powerful. But if you have, say, 20 parts, and 15 of your parts are working for something over there, and the other parts are working for something over there, then you become inefficient. Self-sabotage is such an example. Part of you wants to be successful, and another part of you fears success. If I was truly successful, that would imply, whatever. And so you sabotage your success. On the other side, who doesn't know that? I want to get my life in order. I want to get up early. I want to make my bed in the morning. I want to get my day started with a proper plan, yoga and meditation practice. I want to have a morning routine like all the successful guys out there. But you can't, because there is so many other parts. For example, the part that loves it to be in bed in the morning, or the part that loves to stay up very late, or the part that loves to stay up late to entertain yourself endlessly, or the part that prefers to check the news before you get out of bed and muddle the mind with news before you even start your day properly. And so on and so forth. There's different interests. Being that split up, you render yourself pretty inefficient. That's why a lot of people don't change throughout their entire lifetimes. Not much. Their basic character and personality stays more or less the same through the years. You can meet old friends and they have the same kinds of problems, maybe in different colors and shapes, the same kind of thoughts, the same kind of words, year after year. So the doing, to be efficient, should be organized, and it should be organized by a high goal, by a good goal, by something that you truly consider to be worthwhile. It's a big question. What is actually truly worthwhile? If you had a week left to live, how would you best spend the remainder of your time? What would you prioritize? What would be important? I can just tell you my own conclusion. You have to come to your own conclusion, of course. The conclusion that I came to so far is that life is pretty much about cultivating and expressing goodness, kindness, compassion, generosity, selflessness, love, care, help, service. Pretty much all the opposites of self-absorption. The more good you can bring into the world, the better. And why do I think that this is a goal worthwhile? Because when I contemplate that I would die in a week or so, that's the only thing that really does make me feel I'd spent the remainder of my time without a single regret. There's no regret. The more selfish I am, the more regrets there are. The more disconnect from other people, the more in my mind and in my action, it's about me. The more I am disconnected from us, from all of us, the more incapable I am of actually being useful to the world. So I'd like to ask myself this, am I being useful? And of course, the answer first of all has to be, am I useful to myself? And I organize my doing around that question. Are my actions benefiting me? If they do, they will naturally benefit others too. If it's true benefit we're talking about, you have to make that clear. It's not just, am I well entertained? Is that beneficial? Ask yourself that. Is having fun beneficial? To yourself and others. Because there's plenty of ways of having fun that are incredibly detrimental to our health, to our mental health, and so on. Nonetheless, they're very popular. And easily available too. You have to be very honest with yourself in exploring that question. Am I truly being useful to myself? And what would that mean, being useful to myself? And a good way of finding that out is contemplate death. Contemplate what's ahead of you. What's ahead of you is old age, illness, death. The loss of everything you depend on. You'll have to give it up. The loss of everything that is meaningful to you, that you like, that you enjoy. You'll have to give it all up. So in the context of that, what is meaningful and useful? What is truly useful? Given that we're all heading in the same direction, what is useful? So that's how I determine what to do with that part of myself that needs to do stuff. So I try to organize my doing around that, the question of whether it's good or not. Another way to define good and evil, putting it into context, I would say good is that which makes you aware of yourself. Without self-awareness, there is no possibility to change. There's no possibility to evolve. There's no possibility to bring benefit into your own space or into the space of others. If you have no self-awareness, you're by definition a walking program. You're just reenacting your conditioning impulsively. No awareness, right? If you have awareness, you have a fair chance to adjust. Adjust around the question, what is good? In other words, what makes me more aware of myself? How can I deepen that self-awareness? And that's, in a funny way, paradoxically, the opposite of selfishness. Because the more aware you become, the less selfish you are. The less aware you are, the more selfish you are, usually. And even our actions that are apparently selfless, like, oh, let me make a donation, it's all for an ulterior goal. I do it in order to appear nice, to get good karma, whatever, these kind of reasons. It's all selfish. It's all about me still. I make a donation and I make sure that I film it so that everyone can see what a good person I am. And I can gain plenty of followers on my channel, being known as the donation guy or something like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That is, if we don't have awareness. We don't see ourselves as we actually are. We don't see how we are working against ourselves. As long as that's the case, you can't get better. If you can't get better, if you cannot light your light, you can't bring light into the darkness that we all share. Therefore, it's not very useful. So good is everything that increases the luminosity, the light of awareness within yourself. Love, compassion, etc. It's all dependent on that. Evil is everything that does the opposite. that makes you unaware, that makes you more programmed, that makes you more conditioned, that makes you less responsible for yourself. Plenty of examples. Blaming others for your troubles is evil. Why? Because it completely strips you from your own responsibility. It makes you weak. It makes you a slave to others' actions. It's thoroughly unhealthy. All ideology that is groupthink, for example, is very unhelpful in nature. I think the way I think because the group is thinking that way and I want to be a part of the group. It's not helpful because it lacks self-awareness. So you have a group of people who are collectively unaware. What's the result of that? Well, conflict, war, conflicts everywhere in the world. It's so obvious. You want to have a group of self-aware, responsible individuals, then it's really powerful. And it goes into a good way. It will increase self-awareness. It will increase responsibility. So I can act in alignment with my higher ideals. Think about it. What are your highest ideals? Are you acting in line with those? And if not, why not? What's keeping you? What's keeping you from acting in alignment with your highest ideals? That's what's evil. That's my definition of evil. In a more spiritual way, evil is what pulls your awareness away from the divine and lets you disperse yourself in the world. Versus good is what directs your awareness to the divine and lets you approach that. Why? For the benefit of all. Because you share yourself consistently with others. You share yourself with the world. Your mental contribution, your emotional contribution, your physical actions, all that is your contribution to the great whole. And if that's based on ignorance, if it's based on a lack of awareness, it's not going to contribute to good. So that's our responsibility. As soon as we know that, we can act differently and lift ourselves up. And if your actions are in alignment with your highest ideals, entering the state of being is much more easy. There's not much conflict because you like yourself, first of all. At the end of the day, you look back on your actions and on who you were and what you brought into the world and what you expressed, and there is no shame. It means you become closer to yourself. You begin to respect yourself, to like yourself, to approach yourself. These are the first steps towards yourself, towards your core, towards the divine, is the ending of the conflict within yourself. You're not acting against yourself anymore. You're acting for yourself. You're in service of yourself. Only then can you actually be in service of others. As long as you're not in service of yourself, as long as there's conflict, you cannot approach the being, the divine, the deepest part of yourself. You can't enter the temple because you haven't taken off your shoes. And the shoes are lack of awareness and the resultant impulsive following of conditions. The dependency on circumstance. The way I feel is because of my past, because of my circumstances, because of my surroundings, because of blah, 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 blah. Anything but myself. And so bringing awareness into yourself is the first step to benefiting yourself and other beings. These are the two parts, doing and being. And if they operate together in harmony, the more access you get to your being, the more light you bring into the world. The more light you bring into the world, the more access you have to your being. That's why in Buddhism and so on, in Christianity too, there's so much emphasis on actions first. Ethics, morality. Don't do this, do that. It's not to be like a buzzkill or something, you know. It's so that your actions are such that you do not despise yourself by the end of the day. In order to regulate that, we need a lot of honesty. Like if someone around you would be as honest to yourself as is required, it would hurt like hell. We are all very respectful to one another. We're not brutally honest with one another. If we were, it would hurt a lot. If we would say to one another what we actually think, for example, we would quickly notice, wow, there's a lot of work to be done. Otherwise, it would just be a lot of conflict and a lot of trouble. We'd be strongly thrown back onto ourselves. So we have to actually make that work. As if your mind would be broadcasted all day long through speakers. Imagine walking down the street and have speakers blaring the content of your mind so everyone can hear it and know it. Perhaps a big screen on top of your head that also shows the imagery. Would that feel nice? Would you enjoy that? Most people don't enjoy it. Like we even don't like it when our privacy is invaded on a most basic level. Someone entering your house without, like asking for permission first or something, a friend just walking in, it's already an invasion of privacy. Like I haven't brought my kitchen in order or something, and now you can see it, oh my God, it's not good. You can see how I actually am, it makes me uncomfortable. I'd rather have you see me how I would like to look. Like see my ideal version that's filtered. Give me some time to write a reply to you, because then I can filter it and I can make it sound nice and I can think about exactly what I'm going to say and I can Google it and can chat GPT it first to make sure that my answer is in alignment with the way I think it should be. And then I'm going to post the answer or something like that. So I can appear like I'm a good person. But are you actually a good person? That's the question. Perhaps something inside of you believes you're not. It might be worthwhile paying attention to that and asking yourself the question, why not? Perhaps we are not all goddesses and kings. Maybe humbling ourselves should come before the ascension. Otherwise, like if we just start off with arrogance and all that, depression, sadness, anxiety, ADHD, whatever, all these new diseases that are on the rise, they usually come from precisely that, because we see a truth in this world that a vast majority of society is denying. I mean, how can you not be depressed if you see our lifestyle, our modern lifestyle? How can depression not be the answer to looking at this world? Perhaps nothing is wrong with you. Perhaps you suffer from realism. Perhaps you suffer from seeing the suffering that we also desperately try to ignore, and overpaint with nice colors and spray perfume on to make it look good and smell good, and maybe you're a bit more realistic. Suffering is the result. And that should be addressed, not tranquilized. How do we address it? Sit still, get to know yourself, and stop trying to adjust yourself. Leave yourself alone and see that whatever you experience is normal. It's okay. There's anger, there is frustration, there's impatience, and so on and so forth. All this is there. It's part of you. It's okay, it's normal. Make peace with it. Sickness is normal. Death is normal. Old age is normal. Frustration is normal. Rather than approaching life from this idea that all these things shouldn't be there. I should be consistently happy, day in, day out. Every morning, waking up, happy. Every day, going to bed, happy. Smiling, laughing, skipping, jumping through the streets, always jolly. That's how I should be. I should also always look good. And looking good means six-pack, big chest, massive arms. That means looking good. Whatever it means for you. You look into the mirror. How have you been conditioned? What is looking good for you? You need to get there. You need to get this. Looking good. Trying to be loved. Saying the right things. Being wise. Being intelligent. Being successful. You've got to live up all to these kind of things. And there is no place for failure. There's no place for old age. There's no place for looking bad. You always have to excuse yourself. So much stress for just normalcy. Just normal to be a human being. Finding peace with that is a big step. It's very important. And you get that peace within your being, because your being doesn't reject you. It doesn't throw you out. It welcomes you. As you are. It doesn't have any requirement for you. Which is of unbelievable relief. You don't have to pretend. So in meditation, that's the way you find peace. I suppose that's enough for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.